Hello and welcome. For all of you who are tuned in, you're watching TMH and this is our English Daily News. Our headlines for today: a new round of peace talks begin between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray representatives. Ethiopia's lead negotiator refers to a third party which may want to spoil the peace process, and Tigray Professionals Group expresses strong opposition to several provisions of the agreement that was signed in Pretoria this last weekend. As we move on to our main updates for today, new round of peace talks begin between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray representatives. Meanwhile, Ethiopia and the Tigray forces have launched a hotline to address these incidents. A new round of talks began Monday between Ethiopia's government and the Tigray regional representatives to work out military and other details of last week's signing of a permanent cessation of hostilities in a 2-year conflict thought to have killed hundreds and thousands of people. The meeting in Kenya involved the military commanders of both sides, along with the leading political negotiators as well. The Ethiopian government's lead negotiator, Redwan Hussein, told journalists that the humanitarian aid may be allowed to go into Tigray by the end of this week or maybe the middle of next week. Redwan Hussein to quickly reconnect services all over Tigray, and this is what he had to say.
But in the areas also where we had not access, we have to quickly reconnect services, both telecoms, energy, and banking systems. But before that, our people need food first and medicine. And for that, we are trying to expedite, and we are also encouraging regions. The Prime Minister set that on. We discouraged all corners not to indulge into rhetoric of the past and to rekindle hope and embrace the future.
Tigray's lead negotiator, Getachew Reda, also said the delivery of aid and services would increase the confidence in these ongoing peace talks.
There are a number of things that need to be done, which are stipulated in our argument. The provision of services is one thing, and the more services there are, the more confidence there is, the more communication there is, and the more hope and expectation it instills in the people's mind, and that will further consolidate the peace we are trying to put in place. So, like I said, we are committed to honor the commitments we've made, but more importantly, we leave to Tadesh and Berhanu to figure out how to implement the agreement we have reached.
An official familiar with the talks hosted by the Kenyan government says they are expected to continue through Wednesday, and the official spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. African Union Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa and the chair of the AU panel that is mediating the talks, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, and one of the co-mediators, former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, expressed optimism about these ongoing talks.
That they are here, as they are here, is to give everybody hope that the progress that we expect will be achieved. I seen them and haven't had the type of experience that they have had. I believe that the success is assured.
We started in Pretoria. We are inching our way closer. We are now in Nairobi. We are very hopeful next time we'll be in Mekele for our meeting. And ultimately, celebrate together in Addis Ababa. This is the prayer, this is the hope, and this is what we seek from our brothers here.
The Ethiopian government and the Tigrayan forces have established a telephone hotline to help maintain the agreement, and according to AP, both sides recognize the challenge of fully communicating with all of their units to stop fighting. AP reported Nigerian, South African, and Kenyan military officers are also helping in facilitating the talks, as the United States and the regional intergovernmental authorities on development are observers. Ethiopia's lead negotiator refers to the third party which may want to spoil this peace process. Redwan Hussein told diplomats in a briefing in Addis during the weekend that there may be spoilers, including a third party that may want to scuttle the peace process. Many have understood this to be a reference to Eritrea.
The only hiccups we have is, though the agreement is now reached, it is still risky to allow flights until commanders would meet and assess the situation. Bad apples could be in our force, bad apples could be in the TPLF force. We don't know who might want to scuttle this agreement. So it might not be the government, it might not be TPLF as a leadership, but we may have disgruntled elements from both sides. And we may also have a third party which may not be interested in this peace process. So for now, until the commanders will assess next week and the situation, whether it is safe to allow flights, if both commanders from both TPLF and government would agree, then we'll notify for our partners to begin flying. But through ground, the Afar route would still be quickly assessed, and then we allow the aid to move in.
Neighboring Eritrea, which fought alongside Ethiopia, is not a party to the peace talks, and last week's agreement doesn't mention the country directly. Health workers in the United Nations and partners have reported even basic medical supplies are running out in the besieged region. He added that his government will soon fix telecom and electricity in the Tigray region, and Redwan also disclosed that the finance minister has estimated the country will require nearly $20 billion to rebuild the war-affected areas after what he dubbed as a colossal damage caused by this 2-year war. Tigray lead negotiator Getachew Reda says his government is committed to ensuring the interests of the people of Tigray. Getachew Reda made this remark on a Twitter account in his first public comment outside the talks, in an apparent response to questions from some Tigrayans about the agreement and that his side's silence. Everything we do, every move we make, or every agreement we sign is driven by the need to ensure the interests of the people of Tigray, he wrote, adding that the peace is what the people of Tigray need more than anything. He continues to say whether we will deliver our promise in a manner that satisfies our people, only time will tell. Getachew added that Tigrayans are fighting not because they are a trigger-happy nation, but because their survival as people is at stake. If a peace agreement can ensure our survival, why not give it a try, he said once again on his official Twitter account. As we move on to our final update for today, the Global Society of Tigrayan Scholars expresses strong opposition to the several provisions of agreement that was signed in Pretoria. In a position statement released following the signing of the Permanent Cessation of Hostilities Agreement between Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the professionals group said the agreement directly contravenes the vital interests of the people of Tigray and defeats the stated objective of the agreement to achieve a lasting peace. GSTS rejected the disbandment of the Tigray Defense Forces, saying that the security is a survival issue for Tigray and that the TDF is the sole provider of the security of Tigray. It added that TDF is a popular resistance army of Tigray and that it is the only guarantor of the non-repetition of a genocide against Tigrayans. TDF should not disarm and should instead be strengthened, as the professionals group said, adding that the disarmament and the termination of Tigray Defense Forces leaves the people of Tigray in the hands of forces accused of horrendous atrocity crimes. Disarmament comes once the very reason for arming and fighting are addressed. They added, saying that the security of Tigrayans cannot be guaranteed without the Eritrean Defense Forces and the Amhara forces being completely removed from all constitutional territories of Tigray. GSTS noted that the agreement fails to provide strict deadlines similar to DDR for the most urgent task of delivering humanitarian aid and the resumption of public services as well as the safe and dignified return of IDPs and refugees to their homeland and properties. GSTS welcomed the peace talks, saying that there is no military solution to politically driven problems, adding that a negotiated settlement presents the only viable solution to the war on Tigray and the world's deadliest crisis in the 21st century. With over 5,000 members, GSTS is the largest, most active academic and professional association in Ethiopia and the entirety of the Horn of Africa. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.